We're obviously here at the Harlequins training ground, the current holders of the Amlin Challenge Cup. So it's always a competition that seems to have excited English clubs. You know, there's some previous winners: Harlequins, Wasps, Northampton, Bath, Sale, to name a few. Yeah. So you know, English teams seem to thrive in this competition, and some, you know, obviously with the added structure now, with the Heineken Cup teams coming down, it's really lifted the whole quality, and Amlin have really invested in the competition. So if we look at the 4 fixtures this weekend, probably the pick is the current holders, Harlequins, you know, flying high in top of the English Premiership, playing against Toulon, who are you know, finalists from a couple of seasons ago, and much fancied. You know, the team of Johnny Wilkinson and the Galacticos, if you like. So Quins having a very strong, you know, form coming into this game against Toulon, who have got a, you know, very proud home record. Quins having won in France at Toulouse, of all places. So it's going to be a really, really tough, you know, tie to predict. I guess if you were looking for an upset, then one might think that this game could possibly present itself. Very tough for English sides to go over to France and win, though, and I think we must make that very clear. So that if we look at the second fixture, you know, Exeter travelled to Stade Francais. Stade a bit inconsistent this season. You know, good away, good at home, not so good away from home. Or in saying that, Toulouse beat them last week at home. So Exeter could probably go there with some high expectations, although it will be tough. You know, Michael Checker's got that team, you know, well organised, well drilled, and they would fully expect to win that game. You know, Scarlets go to Brive. You know, Scarlets will be buoyed by the Welsh Grand Slam, and if they've all sobered up by now, then they will have an excellent chance against Brive. Brive, again, a side that probably you know, will be compact and play very well at home. So again, a tough one to call. Brive probably starting out as slight favourites because it's a long, you know, long journey for Scarlets and their supporters. And then you've got two of the biggest names in European rugby, you know, at the bottom of their respective tables in domestic competition. Biarritz, who have suddenly picked up form and sort of climbed a few places. In fact, they beat Clermont-Auvergne in recent weeks, against Wasps, who have really been struggling, mainly through injuries to key players, but have picked up that absolutely critical win against Gloucester at the weekend. So, you know, maybe the onset of the Amlin Challenge Cup will be a welcome distraction for both clubs, and you know, bizarrely, Wasps probably start that game as slight favourites, given that they're playing at home. Looking at the Heineken Cup, again, some incredibly mouth-watering prospects. Edinburgh, perhaps the surprise package. If you look at the opt-in, you know, the Amlin Opta stats, you know, I think it's 5 players from Edinburgh in that team. So that really reflects the way that they've been playing individually and collectively. Although they face the might of the European champions Toulouse, and whilst they've beaten them in the past, I think it would be, you know, Toulouse have got that look about a side that want to go back to the final again and repeat the successes, and it would be a tough man to bet against Toulouse. The All-Irish affair, Munster against Ulster. Again, Ulster been very strong at Ravenhill. Munster seemingly workmanlike throughout the competition until they suddenly exploded in that last group game against Northampton. So, given that they're down at Thomond Park, I would have to say that they probably start that particular round as favourites. Leinster, probably the form team in the Heineken Cup so far, not necessarily individually, but certainly collectively as a team, against Cardiff. And again, you know, Leinster look like they're well on course to go and defend their title. So I think that even without Brian O'Driscoll, they would start as firm favourites there, because they're just playing so well. It's interesting that the Irish players seem to be able to produce their form for their provinces, but not necessarily translate that form into the Six Nations. And the final game, Saracens against against Clermont-Auvergne. And again, you know, Saracens flying the flag for English hopes, really, playing against the team in France that seemed to get to the critical stage of the European Cup, and then not quite have enough. And again, I think Clermont have given themselves another mountain to climb, because playing away from home, you know, they're less formidable than playing at home. We've seen them come unstuck on the road, and even given Saracens losing to Harlequins last weekend, I still think that they've got enough, and probably will be really pumped up to try and go into the last 4. So probably start that game as slight favourites.